This is super underrated. And it's the ability to learn how to learn. No one ever talks about this. And I think that if you don't understand how you learn, you're gonna be at a disadvantage in comparison to other people who understand how their brain works and how they learn. So, for example, I know that I learn from. So first off, there's a multitude of ways to learn, right? There's kinesthetic, there's auditory, and there's visual. Now, there's people who learn from all three of these ways, or there's people who just learn from each individual one, or there are also people who learn from a combination of these three things, right? So I know that I learn from listening and then doing. So that's auditory and kinesthetic. I have to listen, which is the auditory part, and I have to do, which is the kinesthetic part. But there are people who are better at visually taking in information, right? So the reason why I had to identify this was because I dropped out of college. And when I dropped out of college, I was trying to learn new skills. And when I was trying to learn new skills, I was trying to learn them as fast as possible. So in order for me to learn them as fast as possible, I had to understand how to learn them as fast as possible. And that's when I identified that I was kinesthetic and auditory. So I would have to listen to videos or listen to, people say things and then take what they're saying and then actually apply it. And that's how I would solidify the knowledge, right? So you need to understand how your brain works. You need to understand how you learn. Once you've identified that, it's going to be easy for you to speed up the process. In addition to that, I also understand my personality type. So I know what environments makes me feel comfortable versus what environments makes me feel uncomfortable. And I think that, at least for me, when, a couple years ago, one of the things that I always used to focus on was fixing my weaknesses. But now I focus on understanding my strengths and playing to my strengths. So I took the Myers-Briggs test, and I know, I'm a logician. That's what my reading was. I'm an INPT or something like that. And I know that I'm super analytical. I'm very creative, but I'm extremely introverted, right? But I'm also I'm intuitive as well. So I thrive in situations where I'm by myself with no one around me, with no one asking me questions, and I'm just working on this project, right? And I'm using creative thinking to figure out the problems. I'm an extremely creative thinker, and I understand my weaknesses and my strengths. So I know, for example, that I'm detail-oriented, but I'm not as detail-oriented as some people out there, right? I'm detail-oriented to an extent, and that is a weakness. And I can try to fix it, with checklists and all these other ways of learning how to fix it, which I've done. But I got to a ceiling with that because that is just something that is not my strong suit. I'm extremely strong at coming up with creative solutions for problems because I'm a very creative thinker. And that's why I thrive in places where I can use my creative freedom. So for example, when I'm working at a job, I feel, even though I've had great jobs, I feel limited because of the fact that with jobs, there are always going to be certain restrictions and certain things that you have to follow. Whereas when I'm an entrepreneur, I have full free reign over whatever I want to do. I can take control of whatever I want to do and execute on that, right? So it allows me to think more creatively and to really dig deep inside. And you get my point. Like I get to think more creatively. And that for me is a plus. So I need to be in situations where I'm not limited on my creative freedom. I need to be in, and there's jobs like that. There's places like that you can work. I'm not saying anything about jobs. I'm just using that as an example, right? But then I also know, because I took the Myers-Briggs test, that, I need to be, I think better when I'm in a place by myself, right? Like when I'm by myself, because I'm a logician, I'm more introverted, right? When I'm around people, I feel drained. When I'm by myself, I feel so energized. That's why I can make this video, because I feel so energized right now, right? But here's the thing. And I also took other tests like the Strengths Finders. I forgot what it's called, like the Gallup test. I took that as well. And I'll leave a link in the description or in the comments to all these tests that I'm referencing so you can take it yourself. But what that did for me is it made me understand my strengths and my weaknesses, what I'm good at, what I'm bad at, how I can allocate my time versus how I shouldn't allocate my time, and what I should be focusing on versus what I shouldn't be focusing on overall, right? And because of that, it's much more easier for me to understand what my limits are and what my strengths are so that I can make better decisions. And I think that people, when they think about becoming better at a specific skill set, or when they think about becoming better at something, they limit themselves to just one specific way of thinking, one specific way of doing things, one specific way of learning. And the reality is that if you don't understand yourself, you are not going to be able to get farther or get further, right? And that's how I was able to get further, by understanding how I learned. So I want to encourage you to do the same thing. I want to encourage you to understand your personality type, understand your management type, understand how you learn, right? And you can use a bunch of tests online to figure this out. You should know your IQ score, you should know your EQ, right? You should know all of this stuff, because by identifying all this stuff, and I know they're just metrics that the outside world has created, but the whole thing is that it gives you an idea, and if it resonates with you, it will open up doors for you and how you will be able to further yourself in your career. And it has done that for me, and that's why I understand how I think and I understand myself. So I think everyone should take advantage of this and learn how they think so that they can make better decisions. So take the stuff that I'm going to leave below. Let me know what your tests are, and I can't wait, or your results are, and I can't wait to see what you have to say. Peace.